Hello, my name is Kainton the Genius, and today I'm going to share with you 2018 programming questions and answers. This applies to both software engineering interview questions, web developer, application developer, coder, programmer, and related job roles. I've been 18 years in my experience as a software developer, and I've spent some time interviewing candidates for positions like this. I'm actually going to share with you some of the things you don't know that is going to help you improve your chances of getting the job this year. Now, how are you being graded? Well, this is what the company or the interviewer is not going to let you know. Answering all the questions correctly is only giving you 50% of the marks. And now there are two other points you need to bear in mind. The first one is your confidence level, and the second one is approach to answers. Now these two make up another 50% of your score. Now, what is the confidence level? Confidence level refers to the confidence you apply or you put up in answering the questions or even approaching the interviewer. Now, approach to answers, I'm going to explain it in the next slide. Now, I would like to remind you, maybe you just subscribe to my channel. Click on the subscribe button below so that you can get updates notified when I make new videos. Maybe you can also get assistance or even answers to your questions if you can leave a question in the comment box or anything you would like me to talk about. Now, what is the passing score varies, but most times it's from 80 to 100. Simply because there are a whole lot of applicants. Sometimes the passing score might even be 90 to 100 or even 95 to 100. So that is why you need to get these three items perfectly well. Now, hints on approaching the questions. Now, one thing you need to avoid is I don't know answer. Never use this expression I don't know to any question. If you use it, I'll bet you that the interview ends at that point. Although you will not be told, you will still go through the remaining part of the interview, but most likely you will be dropped at that point. So never say I don't know. Instead, okay, another point is don't keep silent either on any question. So even if you don't know it, don't say I don't know, and also don't keep silent. So what do? Use expressions like, well, I can't recall, but with a little clue I think I can remember. Use something like that. Or you can even use something like, I think this question relates with object-oriented programming, but I can't figure out exactly at this time. I think I need to do some revision on my notes or something like that. So just figure out a clean expression you can use just to avoid saying I don't know and also keeping silent. That improves your confidence level in the answers. Now, don't also rush to answer the questions. Even if you know the answer, don't answer the questions like robots and just answer it and just keep silent immediately. Another point, give a little additional explanation, possibly illustrate how the concept applies in real life. Alright, let's now take an example question. Now, one thing you need to also know is that the interviewer knows that there are some questions that you might not know the answer. That he knows. So how you approach it matters a lot. What is the difference between exception and error in programming? Now, how would they approach answering this question? The answer is actually going to be short with a little additional explanation. Now, an exception indicates a problem in a code or in a program that could be caught and handled by the program. Whereas an error indicates most times a more serious condition in the program that needs to be resolved by the programmer. So exceptions are actually things that the program understands might happen. In fact, there is an exception class that contains list of exceptions that might happen in the code on your program. So a short answer like this aims you the maximum point for this. Let's take another example. What is the static keyword used for in programming? Can you try? What is a static keyword used for? The static keyword is used to declare a static variable or a static method. A static variable, also called a class variable, is a variable that can be used without creating an instance of the class. That is why it's called a class variable. The static member variables share common memory across all the objects created for the respective class. The static member variable can also be referred to using the class name itself. So now there are 4 points. If you make about 2 of these points, then most likely you get the maximum point in this case. So one thing you need to know is that static variables is also called class variables. Static methods are also called class methods. So static keyword makes it possible to use a member function or a variable in a class without having to instantiate the class. In the part 2 of this series, we'll actually open Visual Studio or NetBeans or Eclipse and actually demonstrate this. But for now, take your time to understand the concept so that when we demonstrate it, it will be easy. Now, question 3. What is the .NET framework? Now, this question is a dicey one because there are different ways to approach this question. So if you are asked this question, what is the .NET framework? The starting point will be the .NET framework is. Each time you have a question that have to do with what is, answer it beginning with the .NET framework is. Okay, so it's a software framework developed by Microsoft that provides a set of tools that allow programmers to write code that run across multiple platforms. Now you might give a definition in your own words, but the important thing is know that .NET framework is a set of tools. Okay, because if you are being interviewed for C# programming or Visual Basic .NET or ASP.NET or some other Microsoft technology, it's expected that you have a very good knowledge of the .NET framework. So if you have to be coding to develop a .NET application, you actually will be using .NET tools. So if you highlight that .NET framework is a set of tools, most likely you are on the track of getting the maximum points for this question. Alright, now take note of this kind of question. The previous question says, what is the .NET framework? In this case, it says, what do you know about JVM? So the question here is not what is JVM. So take note of this kind of twist, because the interviewer always tries to see whether you understand a problem before you start solving the problem. Okay, so the question is, what do you know about JVM? In this case, it allows you to give more details. So but you cannot keep talking indefinitely. You need to limit yourself to maybe about above 30 seconds to 1 minute. But just know that if you are asked what do you know about, you need to give additional details. Now, JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine, and is an abstract computing machine that enables a computer to run Java programs. Now, this is the basic definition of JVM. One thing you've let the interviewer know is that JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine, and that is a bonus point for you. Now you can give additional information. For instance, JVM, just like .NET, allows for program portability across platforms. You can also say something like, provided that JVM is installed in a system, that program will be able to run Java programs. So these are a few things you need to know, but if you have some more details about Java Virtual Machine, then you can give it. For instance, concept of bytecode, you can also highlight it. A Java program is compiled to produce a bytecode, and the bytecode now runs on a Java virtual machine. Alright, the next question is, what do you know about OOP? Then mention some OOP languages. This is also a question that many people think they know what object-oriented programming language programming is, but in the real sense they use it but they can't explain it. So take note of this simple definition I've put together here. Object-oriented programming is a method of programming that models entities in the program as real entities with attributes and methods. Since this question says, what do you know? You can now give more explanation. For instance, a program might define a blueprint that can be used to create objects. And the blueprint is called a class, and the attributes and the methods can be defined in the class, and the object can be instantiated anytime within the program. Give more explanation if you have. If not, I think you can get your maximum points. And then object-oriented programming language includes C++, C#, Java, and Python. What do you understand by the term polymorphism and how is it used? Good. This is another twist to the question. This one, what do you understand? This time, not what do you know and how is it used. Polymorphism means having many forms. So remember, they are asking you how it applies, polymorphism as it applies to programming. Okay, now you can start with explaining what you understand. This time, polymorphism as an English word means having many forms. It's applied in programming. I think I omitted it. It's applied in computer programming when a particular function could be defined 2 times with the same name, but perform different operations based on the parameters passed to it. Now, if you say something like this, the interviewer will know that you actually know about polymorphism and you have even used it in your programming work. Alright, so I think I'm running out of time. I'm going to stop here. Let's continue this in part 2.